Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial, bringing you coverage of the LJL 2020 Summer Finals. I'm your host, Alex. Next week, my master on the internet. Of course, I'm joined by the illustrious Color Costa himself, Alex Nightmare Habgood, and the glamorous man himself, the play-by-play caster, Samuel Initialize Habgood. Gentlemen, welcome back to the cast. We're on silver scrapes now, gentlemen. It's wild. We have got a series upon us. The two best teams of the LJL are representing the summer split effectively, and the winner of this game will qualify for Worlds.
And to be honest, it kind of felt with the last two series we've had, we'd kind of been denied a really high-level tense series. DFM versus CGA. Disappointing. CGA turned up for one game and then kind of rolled over for the rest of the three.
Yep.
DFM versus Sengoku, kind of a similar affair. We have all 5 games. It is very, very hard to tell what is going to happen in this last game. We've had 2 get wins on blue side, 2 wins on red side, so even side choice is maybe not even the deciding factor like it has been in some other regions.
Yeah.
This is getting very, very close.
And I'm just glad to see that V3 came to play. I was so worried after they lost 2 back-to-back. Even their game 1 was a little scrappy. Hell, this game was scrappy, but if scrappy is what it takes to bring down the Olympians, the Titans that are DFM, then you damn well do it, and I am so excited to be going to Game 5.
How do you beat the team that has gone to Worlds and represented the region internationally 5 times? Well, you've got to get down and dirty. And think about it. What DFM are having to ban are 3 champs in the first round, which are key and have shown to break Detonation FocusMe open. The Galio from Ace has shown to be back-breaking. Reiner's set, as well as Paz's Scion. These 2 teams are now just banning the opposition's like high priority picks. This isn't meta banning anymore. We saw that Caitlyn can lose here. The teams are able to play against this. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
This is the definition of a series meta. This is where you get so many games into it and you think, okay, this is what's actually problematic. Screw whatever everyone else is playing and thinks it's first pick. This is actually what's problematic. I think, well, we haven't seen the set or the Galio unbanned the entire series. I don't think we will versus V3.
No.
These are the picks which they have succeeded so much on in the regular split. The adaptation from V3 to ban away stuff like the Leona and continue banning that away, and also the Nico away from Seros has been very impactful. The question is, Game 5, one last chance to change something up. Can either of these teams do anything to break up in this game, and will it start in the pick and ban phase?
And we have to ask that question once again. I feel like a broken record, but Initialize, sir! These junglers have so much power between the tempo of this game, the playmaking, everything, right?
They do, and once again, it was DFM who played well early. They forced so many summoners in the early skirmish, but didn't get kills. In fact, they lost first blood. Yeah, they turned around a minute or 2 later, but the fact that yeah, they kind of got the advantage, but not enough of one to overcome the sheer teamfight prowess of the.
And I'm gonna have to stop you there, Initialize. Continue talking afterwards, because we're into pick and ban phase already. A few of them have come in. Take it away, gentlemen, for the final game.
Absolutely, it's good to be here. V3 are back on blue, DFM are on red. It is the Nico ban that survives. Heimerdinger and Renekton also off the table for V3. On the other side, though, that Galio, that set, will it be the Caitlyn ban? Time to find out.
The last 2 times V3 have been on the blue side, they have first picked Pantheon. One game, it looked good. They found ways to play around it. But this time, it was V3 banning Leona the entirety of the series. Gang has looked like the best damn support in the LJL when he's been on that pick. Reiner has his chance to steal away the Solari and first picks it for V3.
And DFM, I want you to give me some more engage. Give me some more frontline, because the last game you were struggling to pick fights when you needed. Yeah, you got the lane advantages, but when it came to those mid-game dragon fights, it wasn't enough. Utapon is back on his Jhin, and frankly, he eviscerated the back end of that game on that champion.
He didn't die.
He did not die. But that will mean that V3 go, screw all that, we're going to pick up a Scion. We're thinking about the Zoe as well, and that is all the engage and frontline V3 could ever ask for.
could do. So what they're going to lock in Ace in that game for was the hero that V3 needed, and he was playing the champion that they needed. He's picked up the Zoe again, and Seros has no Nico to go towards. Will he reprise his performance on the Azir? They are certainly hovering it, but he did not look particularly comfortable in that game 4.
Started off just fine, got himself a CS lead, got the silence, but those mid to late game team fights, he was having to disengage, and V3 kept hunting after. Azir without a front line who's having to shuffle his soldiers away from a fight isn't doing all that much damage, and
However,
it showed in those stats.
Importantly, V3 have not picked up an AD carry.
They have not.
AD carries, in terms of the top tier champions, are not necessarily the most numerous of picks. I would imagine there is going to be an Ashe ban. The Callista was
Makes
one which I
sense.
was considering. Maybe that Archer would pick up later. We said, hey, if you don't want to pick up your very carry early, maybe the Callista would go unbanned. The FM are right on top of that, and it is taken away.
I think it might be an Ashe to follow up if I had anything to say about it. The Pantheon is V3's ban. They don't want to give that over to DFM, so clearly they know where the likes of Steel have some history on that one. So we'll see where this goes with the last couple of weeks. I'm imagining Ashe still.
I would imagine it would be an Ashe ban, although it could also be something like Ezreal or Senna.
True.
Those two have also been played this series, but both by DFM. What is their priority? What do DFM think counters their comp? What makes their life harder? They think it's the Ashe, and rightfully so. Archer in that last game went for the full crit build, and he did a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, he did. And it wasn't like Utapon was a slouch on the damage numbers, but even then he was still 2k damage down versus that infamous Ashe that Archer was pulling out there. Essence Reaver first definitely hits different. Let's see what the final ban is here. I wonder whether it might be a little bit of a focus towards perhaps that top lane, or maybe the Bard would be another option. And
Bard is
the moment I speak about it, there he goes.
So maybe that opens up something which isn't the Ezreal. And of course, the Ezreal is better against the likes of Bard, gives you a bit more safety because you have your Arcane Shift to keep you a little bit more slippery and mobile than some of those other AD carries. I'm thinking Senna, Ezreal still available. Maybe even something like a Aphelios, which has popped up a couple of times across the world, might come out at this point. But into the likes of the Nidalee and the Azir, you are still outranged quite heavily.
There we go. It will be the Shen that's managed to get its way through, though, so Ebby will be back on that. It's another one of those big-time tanks.
I believe we have... Okay, yeah. Sorry, guys, the draft has just got some problems with our scenes just on the screen. It's the Shen going to be locked in for DFM in that top lane. It's something which Ebby has played a lot this series. Of course, he's had 3 games of it. And now he's looking to have his best one yet to secure this finals.
Of course, that will, of course, be back into the Scion, which was, frankly, fairly good at dealing with the Shen push. Archer's Aphelios returns. It has been a difficult one to measure where Aphelios is. He's very punishable now, but when he can hit those spikes, he's still one of those very conditional hyper carries. Boogie gets back on Lilia. There's another front line here that Aphelios might get some work, but he's got to be very afraid of the likes of a Taunt coming to claim his life.
Oh dear. So, what is Gang going to pick? He has no Bard, no Leona, but he does have Rakan.
Gang's Rakan is legendary.
This is the pick where in spring he had the one flank to end the game, which made it into the top 5 plays of the LJL spring from the official stream. This guy is very renowned for this champion, but it is not easy into Leona. And some might say this is a self-counter pick. This is not about the 2v2 then, you have to suppose. It's about trying to find angles into the teamfights later into the game. This is ballsy from Gang. This is not something I would necessarily say this is going to be the easiest game for him, but at least you do have that upper end of value from the likes of the quickness into your grand entrance, might be able to turn that one team fight, which leads to the game.
And of course, you have a Shen to back you up. You might not be able to go in with Leona, but you can damn well go in with Rakan here. He gets to go very deep. He'll have a Shen on top of him. That might give him the edge in some of these matchups, where otherwise Leona gets to Zenith Blade him and make him feel very suspect.
Well, this is the thing, right? If you W forward and the Zenith Blade connects, which is likely to happen, it's a very fast-moving projectile, you actually don't get the knockup. If you are cancelled in your dash before you reach the target location, that CC doesn't come through. So if this Leona stands next to the Aphelios, you can stand on top of him and just wait for the Rakan to come in and see if it can cancel that kind of engage. Once again, we have the Jhin coming out for Utapon, which is not the highest consistent damage. Azir is there for Seros, but he didn't have the best game last game either. Now that they are facing against this huge tank in the Sion in the top
Yes.
lane, is that going to be an issue if Saros is not in a position to do damage to that tank?
That was my next question for you. Is my eyes will be on Ceres because he's going to need that Leandries because he is going to be the tank killing damage. They've got a Leona and a Sion to deal with. That could be pretty scary. Of course, they've got a lot of CC. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad they've got some more guaranteed engage. But so what happened in the late game versus Sion when it just took them forever to kill the damn beasts? Could be a problem here again.
Could absolutely be. So, are we going to see Lethal Tempo? We're going to see Comet for the laning phase. Because, in fairness, against Aphelios, if you have yourself a lot of poke, we can see that Comet coming out to just chunk out that Aphelios. We see Cull, we see Teleport. Oh my word, are we going to see a lane? Are we just going to see a Game 5 lane swap from V3? Is this going to be... They did this versus Sengoku in Game 1.
They have pulled it off before. They pulled it more cleanly than we saw from the likes of SK, and he's got the Ruby Crystal. This could be it. The Observer is pointing this out. They know what they're looking for. Look at the minion dematerializers as well. DFM is spread out. They want to spot this out.
Oh, this is so they pulled this out again, like we said, in their first playoffs match versus Sengoku. They made sure that they were against an AD carry that can't push very well. They made sure they had the Sion, the best weak side lane swap top laner in the game, because even if he dies, he can clear the wave with his passive. It's a lane invade onto the Raptors. It is a stack as 5, not as a stack as 4. They won't spot out that ward. DFM know immediately what's happening, but they are not going to have their bot lane on the top side of the map.
They are not. But they know that Archer is around, and it'll be curious to see what DFM do with this. They know what the knowledge is. Twitter favors DFM, and historically you can see why. Gang now on Vision will be spotted out, and Sion has not gone for an execute, but has gone for the lane swap. Gang recalling, probably to get up to Shen, who is in the bush here.
He's
not
out behind enemy lines. Maybe he's waiting for... Okay, you see Rakan's actually recalling and going towards the top side. Is this going to be the long con?
Oh, Reiner's there, and that could be death. Rebbe, he wanted to get in behind, managed to get forward, and is going to be okay. Managed to get himself a bit of a shield there as well, so is just fine. But Ebby playing with fire there.
Playing on the razor's edge. Gang is going towards the top side. Jin is left in a 1v1 versus Sion. Boogie might have his Cloak clear interrupted. Gang's just clearing wards for now.
That will be that one down, but it means that the support is here to prevent
this means they can't dive. They can't dive.
It's very hard to dive a Rakan and a Shen. So much CC could be very, very risky, but Boogie's around level 2. Low on the HP bar, but it's definitely something they can consider. And DFM have decided this is the way they want to respond to the lane swap.
They don't manage to keep Ebby at level 1. He gets level 2. And that means that the taunt is available. And things get very dangerous from that point. Has himself more ways to protect himself. Utapon getting free farm on the bot side. We get free XP, solo XP on the bot side. He doesn't have a Cull. He doesn't have a teleport to respond to map plays in the later stages of this game. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have his own advantages he's garnering from this situation.
There's teleports from both mid laners as well. So anything that goes on this top side could definitely end up being interesting. Utapon actually roaming up to mid. Remember, Deadly Flourish follows up with CC pretty damn well. Here comes Steel as well. They want to get onto this Zoe.
They don't have a point and click CC. They'd have to poke in.
Okay, they got the shove there. That's going to be the route as well. Now Ace is in trouble. Flash is away. Will survive. But it's the summoner down already.
It's the summoner down. Utapon making the roaming players the ADC solo in bot lane. That's not something you see often. We have it all here in the LJL. We've got ourselves our standard team fights. We have ourselves a witness too.
Gang going up and gets Archer down low. And now DFM go right back up with their health bars definitely up here. That's just what you can do with the likes of the Spirit's Refuge. And Archer, not happy with that one.
Not necessarily, no. He's still stacking his coal. He's still getting himself a lot of gold off of that, and will hopefully get to the point where he has gotten ahead of Utapon, at least in that item value, because, of course, Aphelios is such an item-dependent champion. As it stands, though, it looks like the junglers are keeping pace with each other. Boogie is maybe looking once more into that top side. He's looking once again for that second respawn of the Raptors, so easy to steal them away as Lilia.
Nidalee is over by her wolves, so I think that will be fairly easily secured, especially with the pressure in. That's the Leona going in, but the knock up from Gang kind of turns it straight back around. And of course, with the Guardian on there as well, it's pretty hard to chunk out this top lane.
It is. You know, this is the point where Ebby is probably not going to die now, but he is also sharing XP, which means that channel, which does turn the game, will not be as available as early into the game as it would have been in a standard lane situation. Let's see what's actually happening with the levels. Yeah, you can see that Archer is a fair way behind Utapon right now, and that means you won't have the Moonlight Vigil before you have the Curtain Call available from Utapon, but I don't think that V3 are as scared as that. as they would be as an earlier Stan United. I still think this is fairly valuable for V3.
There's a smite available for Boogie. No, there is not. He's going to try and get the Swell Sea down, and Steel will get the big Krug. Won't be able to get any more, though, so trying to trade around best he can.
Cam's traded across everywhere. Reiner, on the other hand, very, very hard to chunk out. If he just chucks his Zenith Blade and has his W out, this duo just does not damage him. And that's also something that we'll see later into the game, is that will it get to a point where Utapon can really threaten Reiner when he goes in? Because Reiner, on the Pantheon, was someone who was punished quite a lot in that second game he played of it. It looked really bad. His worst game of the split so far, if I would have to hazard a guess. This game, he has more of the tools to see if he can. Cole picked up for Utapon. Yeah, but he's got more tools this game to be the Reiner which we know from the regular season. The one that was up there as like the 6th highest worldwide KDA.
Okay, Paz is in the back end of this lane here. They're looking about switching out this lane swap RV3 after they didn't get what they wanted from it. And I don't know what this Sion currently is doing. He's not level 6. It's not like he can pull off the is it Unstoppable Force? Oh man, I figured the problem is I've been casting so much Hecarim and so much Malphite in other series. Right, Unstoppable Force for Malphite, Onslaught of Shadows for Hecarim. Oh God, no!
I'm sat here listening and laughing because I also don't know, but also I am a player. But I'm a color caster. I don't need to know.
No, it's true. Oh my days! I had this the other day.
Oh dear, Sam. Oh dear. Well, luckily, the players will not need to worry about such names. They only have to care about the effectiveness of their abilities and how they use them. Do have even CS between the top laners, and that will be Paz having himself, of course, in that 1v1 versus Utapon. It is Unstoppable Onslaught, Sam. You know, you should have trusted yourself, and you didn't, and I'm ashamed of you.
Because it's the cross between Hecarim and Malphite. I knew it's like those three,
as opposed to the cross between Hecarim and Nico, which is Lillian.
Yeah, of course.
Good. We're on the same page. Good stuff. Nice.
In fact, I'm interested to see there was no Hecarim at all in this series, which of course has been very high priority in other regions, but that is still where things have gone. The Nidalee has been a high priority.
This is why we keep talking about tournament and series meta. Sometimes picks just become too hard to deal with, and because they're so prioritized and might have ways to deal with the picks that may otherwise be very powerful, you just don't end up prioritizing them that much. Okay, so Cole, 45 left for Archer. Heavy trading really wants Paz. Ult's traded.
That is the ult down for Paz, but he's going to get a Decimate out. That is the swell speed missing, but Ebby's going to try and find his way out. He's thinking about flashing in. Can't quite get the last auto. Can he get it? Surely. He's got to find something. Anything. Taunt. He's going to die anyways. He's got to try and find something. He goes down anyway. That's so sad for Ebby.
Oh, the flash committed. Tens of HP left. His team will pick up the Infernal Dragon, the first spawn on this map, while he dies. Kill goes up to Boogie. He gets himself a Dark Harvest stack, gets himself some extra gold. We know how much damage he's done in these previous games. An earlier item completion of that Liandry's might be very important for V3 this game. How did this start off? Started with Ebby doing his thing as Shen, where he just wins tank matchups.
It was looking really good for Ebby for just a second, and then the Swell Seed missed, and Ebby's like, well, I've got to go, otherwise I die.
He's trying to link it with the CC, but of course he doesn't end up getting the correct angle. Of course, it does skip over some terrain, but not quite that much. Ebby's used his taunt, he's used his flash, he doesn't have anything left for him, but he chooses to finish it off before the next taunt cooldown comes up, and at least saves his top laner's life for his flash.
It's important to know that Archer got a bit of a preferential back as well. Comes up with a BF sword where it is the Cull and boots onto Utapon right now. So that's actually a fairly big damage discrepancy.
It's huge.
Right here.
Yeah, huge. I guess Utapon didn't quite back with that goal, or wanted to just be the investment AD carry. You know, we've been talking about how you can invest into crockery and into structures to avoid the League of Legends, the Boris tax. You don't get any of the IRS guys coming after you. Apparently, the Cull is another way to do that. Fighting around the Herald, it is 9 minutes in, a minute late. Looks like everyone's still willing to party around here.
There is an ult up for Ebby. There is a teleport up for Paz. Here comes that Sion, as he's going to come teleporting straight in, and he's going to find his way onto a couple of captive audiences. That's a lot of low HP onto Reiner, but he will survive for now, and Ebby goes down. I have no idea who secured the Rift Herald. I think it might be DFM. So they stole it away, but they do lose a member for it.
Okay, so V3 do not get themselves the Herald, but DFM still move a lot of people around the map to try and secure, well, at least contest that. They stop V3 from getting it, but honestly, trying to use that many resources to commit to a Herald is often a bit of a fallacy. You end up losing more in the long run. They moved up Utapon from that bot lane. He didn't pick up a wave there. At least it wasn't crashing into turret. We have a replay to see how this fight went down. We don't have ult for Leona. We don't have ult left for Sion, but there is a stand United which comes in on top of Gang. They're trying to use it in place of the Leona. That's what the Rakan's there for. But the redemption comes up huge. What a redemption. That is
so unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate. That's just sometimes you roll that from the Zoe. Sometimes it turns a fight, and it just so happens to be the fact that it happens in Game 5 of the LJL Summer Finals, which decides who goes to Worlds.
Production's keen eyes also spotted out that it was Ebby who managed to get the auto attack on the Eye of the Herald that stopped it going down. They are proccing the Lira, but here come the teleports. It's going to be a 4v3, but V3 back away now. Saros is around, and both mid laners burn their teleports, but nothing else really gained. As though he's going to find his way with a shove into this bot lane tower.
Yes, I think with V3 having the push on most waves, I think it's more important that Saros doesn't have his TP than Ace. I think Ace is still going to be the person shoving in and roaming, whereas Saros might have to collect waves at his turret, which means that he will be sorely missing that teleport were a play start coming out across that map. The Lilia ult is down, but of course that will be well up and available before that next teleport from Saros is available in turn. And of course, there is now Sion ult 2.
Well, Sion now with a chain vest and stopwatch. This Jhin is just going to have a really rough time. He's like, he'll do like very little damage at this point. This guy.
No. I mean, I can't think of many things less satisfying than playing Jhin into Sion on a solo lane. That sounds just
awful.
You know, it's one of those things where like, oh, I'm going to go train myself in some kind of like discipline and make myself into a martial artist. It's like, okay, well, to temper yourself, you're going to have to play Jhin versus Sion. Boogie's coming over the wall. No ult. That's a lot of damage.
It is a lot of damage. And a Dark Harvest stack as well. Thank you very much, says Boogie. And he'll get to clear up most of the small Krugs with the Blooming Blows.
And you use it, he just uses them as a smoke screen for their next spear coming in. Gives up one of the small raptors to make sure it doesn't take that spear. Boogie controlling the tempo of this map. It's been a long time since we've used the lane swap terminology. Got to use it once in that Sengoku V3 Juggernaut 1 versus 2 seed match. Of course, we get to talk about tempo and how teams are moving around the map. It helps when you have fast clearing junglers because they, of course, they get to be on the map more often because they spend much less time farming.
They absolutely do. And it's going to be an interesting one to see how this goes. The Herald kind of came to naught. The Cloud Dragon will be up in 30 seconds, and DFM...
No, Nautilus isn't in this game. That was game 4.
That's true. He was, but I was.
It'd be very strange if Herald came to naught. Well, I guess maybe that's what happened. Maybe Herald wasn't stolen. Maybe it was stolen.
Wait. Here we go. We have to talk about memes later because Reinhardt is now caught up. He's gone golden, but that's the quickness going down. And here comes Ebby as well, but the support will fall for V3. Ebby gets that one, and they've got the man advantage as they come up to this Cloud Drake fight. Wait. Ebby needs to be a little bit wary, though, because there is still Boogie and Ace around. He's on the back end of this pit.
Reiner did have flash, uses the stopwatch and chooses that he's just going to die at that point. Not worth. I think he might have failed flash over the wall. I'm not sure if he judged that distance correctly. But he still goes down. That was the LCK special. I find something, you know, something interesting and funny to talk about, and immediately a play happens in front of our face.
All right, so it's going to be either an ocean or a mountain rift. Either one will be pretty fabulous for these teams. Watch the walls, watch the grass. That is...
Sleep onto Ebby.
Sleep onto Ebby. It's the mountain rift, which is fantastic for Sion. It's fantastic for Shen, and hell, Leona ain't going to complain too much either.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And with the game being accelerated because of these side lane pressure being put down, I say it's been accelerated, but of course none of those turrets have fallen. It's not like this was a fully completed lane swap because of Gang's early roam into the top side to shield Ebby. Towers didn't fall. We've had ourselves a couple of plates. Paz, in fact, being hammering away there, gets himself his 4th just before the plating falls, but Ebby's still being zoned off. It does mean that, you know, we're not going to have that same amount of time to like say, oh wow, maybe you can do some cross-map plays so instead of taking a dragon.
And that's the big one, right? We're seeing a 1,500-ish, 2,000 gold lead for V3 early on into this game, but 2 dragons going the way of DFM. I feel like I've seen that trade before, and there is the plates that go over. It's the full top lane turret. It's 2 in the bot lane that is definitely giving V3 that gold lead right now.
Paz also gets himself first turret bonus. We saw in game 1 of this series how tanky Paz could get on this Sion pick and how problematic it was for the Senna that DFM had in that game. Jhin also struggles versus tanks. We look at the gold leads now. It's 1,000 in the top lane. relatively even across jungle and mid. Of course, there is a lead towards Boogie, but then in the bot lane, again, there is a pretty sizable lead for Archer, who crashed in his cult already. Yutabon still waiting on that. So right now, V3 have the combat stats and the gold to maybe start getting themselves some firepower. And you know what? That column being popped, we just saw it jump up live on screen. Yutabon gonna get himself a little bit more to play with.
He's pretty happy with that. Got about 1,100 in inventory and will complete himself a Storm Razor. So nice for Jin to get that additional slow with the energized shot he can get. All the while, though, we're looking still at that gold lead for V3, but it is the dragons that are problematic. But Herald number 2 will spawn in only 10 seconds, and Steel and Boogie are going to find each other. That's the lilting lullaby. It's a teleport in behind. I think the Steel is dead. Gang's going in, but he'll go out as well. Now they've got to try and find their way out. Archer's here. He was the one to teleport, actually. It wasn't Paz, but they get the jungler, and they'll get the Herald as a result.
Ace not running the teleport this time. Who
Flash,
needs that?
Rhino is going in, and Seros is in so much trouble, but he stays alive. That shuffle did nothing.
He's dead.
He's just dead. That'll be a deadly flourish onto Archer, but nothing else comes of it. And V3 find 2, and they'll get to go to the Herald, but they're not going to stop for that. They're going to go for this mid lane.
Sleep.
1. Another sleep lands, and Utapon has to cleanse.
And we had been waiting to see if V3 had come in prepared to this series. Game 1, it was looking fine. Game 2, Game 3, we had worries. And even before this game, we were saying, hey, DFM, they've been more consistent, but it doesn't mean V3 haven't had the highs to contend with their lows. They picked themselves up a whole host of kills. They will not pick up any neutral objectives. They don't pick up the Herald, but still a lot of gold into their pockets.
And that was a fantastic Flash Zenith Blade from Ryan. He says, okay, gang, I see what you're doing on this champion. Let me give it a go. Does a fantastic job there.
I think one thing which is also going to be a metaphorical thorn in the side of DFM is that, you know, Shen is not getting the priority across the map to respond to these kind of plays. In this fight, he didn't have ult, he didn't have TP, he's still fighting for side lane pressure. That means this is a 5v4. Archie gets his chakram stacked up, and he throws out his ult, forces back the rest of DFM, and Seros tries to respond by getting priority somewhere else on the map. This time, though, it costs him his life, it costs another kill for this fight. It really, really puts DFM in an awkward situation.
You can see he's hammering that R button, hoping, praying the CC will end in time. It doesn't. And he does, unfortunately, miss that shuffle, and he goes down as well.
And it costs him the mid lane out of turret.
And it's also going to cost him second Herald here as well, which has definitely pushed this gold lead up fairly heavily. It's a mountain dragon in 1 minute, and DFM will want to claim that night.
It will do. And the thing is, when you lose mid lane outer turret, particularly against Zoe, things get very, very awkward. I've played against plenty of Zoes in my time and my own experiences, but seeing it in the pro level too, if you start getting ahead and on a mountain rift where there are more walls, you have to be pinned into your own side of the jungle, just waiting for the next bubble to fly through the terrain at you. And Ace has been so damn good in Game 4 and now into Game 5. This guy, we had a narrative about him being one of the weaker mid laners, not the good traditional mid laner for the LJL or any region in the world. This guy has been absolutely stepping up when it matters, though, and it might, emphasis on the might, send his team to Worlds.
Remember, though, of course, you are still versus the likes of an Azir who can put up at least the Sundisk in mid lane to put some artificial turrets down. Ebby kind of caught out a little bit of mid lane here. He's going to walk
into the sleep.
He just felt he needed to move forward, so that will mean he flashes. They've still not managed to get onto him, and actually Ebby is sort of disengaged roughly here. They're still going into him, but that's Gang going in the backline. Ebby's still alive. That's Reiner over the wall. He's in trouble. The Deadly Flourish comes out as well, and he's pretty low, but wait, the Shen still falls. It's traded back onto Leona. 1-for-1 right now, and Boogie is on for this mid lane turret with the Herald. They're going to get in. Sleep land onto Utapon. He takes all the damage, but wait, Ace now has to flash away himself. But that was a stolen flash. Of course it was. And the Herald's still shoving in mid lane. Boogie's there. And DFL like, we won't want to give up this Mountain Dragon. This is what we need. They're going to lose the mid lane inhibitor turret.
And this is while the Mountain Dragon is alive. You know, we're talking about accelerating the game, trading dragons for extra things across the map. This is DFM and what they do. They love to play smoke and mirrors. Seros tries to catch Boogie. Boogie flashes away from the captive audience, the Deadly Flourish, rather. That's the one. But DFM lose themselves a member. They do recoup themselves a kill, but they lose 2 turrets and a dragon. And those tank stats over to the Scion, over to everyone on V3 is so pivotally important in this game.
And you could see what DFM were looking for, but Ebby in the mid lane walks across the sleep. He tries to think about getting away. He can see he's kind of stuck here, and he's like, I've got to go this way. He could have flashed it.
He could have flashed. He could have flashed. Of course, he didn't have the taunt. Ace misangling his paddle star so it hits the Raptors, may have made things a tad easier, and Archer flashes out of Gang's engagement, which means he's not there to follow up on this engage from Reiner. He gets taken down by the backline of DFM. That is some small consolation because Ebby has died, and they've lost so much in their HP bars, particularly after Ace lands extra skill shots like this. We were talking about the terrain. Mountain Rift on your own side of the map, so deadly versus Zoe. It comes out in full force there. V3 take advantage in this deciding game.
And they have now got themselves a 4,000 gold lead. It's a Zeeks onto the Scion as well, which is fairly interesting.
Put it this way. Jhin is not going to kill you. Jhin is not going to kill you. He's going to be the kind of person who wants to be shredding through the backline. And if you are the person taking up enough damage to die with this build, you've probably done enough work that the rest of your team has got something else. So why not buff up your Aphelios, who has been in this lane swap and benefited so much from starting the cull, having to teleport to move around the map. Give them the extra ability to carry, because of course you don't have an enchanter on your team. Get yourselves that Zeke's Convergence, allow Reiner to go for the stone plate and be tanky in his own right, and let Archer pop off.
It was oscillating back and forth and back and forth. It ain't anymore. It's a 74% chance for V3 to claim this game, to bring down DFM, to win their first LJL championship ever, to head to Worlds.
And to do it versus DFM with the back-to-back championships heading towards their 5th consecutive. The team which everyone knows, the team with all the players that everyone knows. This is the moment V3 have been waiting for. They rebuilt their roster this year in the hopes of greatness. DFM will look to stop that. They will always look to stop that, and they are a resourceful, wily, intelligent, talented team. But they are still down gold. They're still down a lot of pressure, and they are down, of course, in some of the scaling aspects in this game too, to the Scion and the Aphelios. They need to find a way to turn this game back into their favor, and I should have no doubt they have the ability to do so. It just matters, it's a matter of fact to be seen whether it will.
That's exactly it. Seros here gets some alone time with the tier 1 in top lane. Shuffles away with the soldiers he placed beforehand. Feels like a Blue Peter episode. Here's one I made beforehand, but won't get to finish that one up. See Ebby down here shoving in. They did at least get a turret down there, but Gang and Utapon roaming around looking to find picks if they can. But right now, it's still that 4,000 gold lead. It's still 3 turrets in the mid lane that DFM are down after that ridiculous Herald play.
Very telling. Boogie's 2 levels, or was 2 levels up over Steel, now slipped just to that 1. Has plenty of farm. Archer's being funneled even more. Has himself his engaged support who will be peeling for him, trying to lock down that Rakan before he can get on top of the Aphelios. Has a Zeke's from his top laners, and now is being given jungle farm in place of Boogie. The Aphelios, if he is allowed to free fire, as we have said so often in this series about stuff like the Ashes and the Caitlyn's and everything, can do so much work. But this Aphelios really, really can put up the
flourish line, and Reiner taken very low. He's going to go pull
Sign
out. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught. Can they hit onto Utapon? It will be Gang who is caught out, but he can't get away. There's the quickness, and Utapon slays Reiner. It's turned straight back around. It's support for support. Now the lilting lullaby hits onto Ebby. Paz gets another decimating smash. Ebby still alive, but trying to run away. The health bars are low, and it's a minute before Mountain Drake, but 1 for 1 is the trade in the end.
Reiner's tanky does have a stopwatch, but it is not tanky enough to deal with that much damage. DFM do trade 1 for 1 when it did look like V3 have found another angle for a cataclysmic team fight. Of course, there's no Jarvan in this game, but who needs it when you have the Scion running down like a freight train through the mid lane? Does catch out Gang, who is trying to battle dance out, but is CC locked in place. And who gets the kill? None other than Archer.
All right, these AD carries are trading back and forth. It's 3 kills, but a CS lead to the Jhin. It's hella close is what we'll call that one, you'd say. But there's still a big gold lead for V3. They've got the wallets to back up the punch right now. Archer steamrolling forwards. He's gone for the teleport, remember, guys. He's got no cleanse. And versus the likes of Rakan, that could be dangerous the later this game goes. For now, it's working out. He's got himself up to that 2.5 item mark.
20 seconds still dragon. That's why he teleported in. Teleports to get the wave control in mid lane. Does come out to that. Has himself an extra zeal. And crit on Aphelios always goes down mighty well in these team fights. We saw that Infernum finishing off Gang. Well, let's see what he gets in his next ult. Hopefully it will be up before that fight coalesces for V3. Although with the dragon spawning in 3 seconds, maybe unlikely.
Yeah, I might give this one up, but Ebby's in this bush. He's actually going to hit by the sleep. He's still got a taunt available, but doesn't use it. Takes a big chunk as a result. And that will mean that they don't feel comfortable going towards the dragon.
They also don't have Stand United. now with 2 Mountain Dragons being put down, I know that Death's Dance is not necessarily the best item on Archer anymore, on Aphelios rather. Of course Archer is playing that. But in this game, you now have two Mountain Dragons. You're aiming to get more than that. If you get yourself that Death's Dance, I actually don't see very easily how you end up getting killed in these fights. He's going towards probably something like the, so not top lane.
It's going to be the good use of the Emperor's divided by time, but it's still a slow onto Seros, and here comes Boogie, going to try and get the swirl. See it! What? Through the minions, they failed him! One was caught lagging behind because Steel slowed it down, I think, and that means the mid laner is dead. Seros thought the minions would stop it. Oh, that is so sad, but that means Baron is going to be started up. It's still 30 seconds.
They can tank it for forever.
Here come the rest of DFM. They need to get over as fast as they can, but it's a 4v5, and they don't have the tank-slaying machine of the Azir, of Seros, and that means this Baron might go down. This might be what caused it. Here comes Gang. He doesn't get the quickness. They thought they might get a catch onto Ace. It's not going to come down. Steel needs to live up to his name. Ryan is coming in. Utapon getting caught on, but actually the damage isn't bad from DFM. They're still getting chunked out. Ebby about to fall as well, all the way in the backline of the Baron. Still going down. DFM being chased away. This is the curtain call coming out. There's a lot of low health bars. Reiner, so low. Archer, so low. Reiner goes not quite down. And that will be Paz getting chunked out as well. Boogie saves the Baron. But now can V3 win the fight? They're so low. So are DFM coming in. Seros is back up. He's got teleport. Can DFM find the fight? They've got to find something.
Look at this. Low health
they
bars.
want to get it. There's so many low health bars. But V3 disengage and get out with everybody in Baron.
V3 play the Baron's gambit. They commit to the fight afterwards. They peel off, but they still leash Baron. When you have a long-range target accessibility champion like Jhin, things get very, very tense around the low health bars. He pops it on the minion, does Boogie in this first play, and it just goes to hell from this point for Seros. He doesn't get to teleport back in. He's not there. He's dead for 30 seconds, and his team is left alone to fend off this play. Gang, he's a playmaker. He wants to make the game-winning play, but Ace sniffs it out. Once again, fast fingers on the flash key. Utapon is engaged hard onto, but Cleanse flashes. It gets out of the fight. Very importantly so, this could have gone much, much worse. All the while, Boogie is hitting both Baron and Ebby with those blooming blows over the wall, and they still manage to get themselves back onto the Baron because Ace uses a stolen flash to flash back in to take aggro.
My days, that was about as close as it gets, but V3
Absolutely.
come up clutch. They get Baron, they're up 8 kills to 3, they're up 6,000 gold, and they've got a lot of turrets to take.
Too, there are some standing structures. Actually, Shen sees the threat so much, he teleports in from his side wave. He was trying to push out to alleviate pressure to try and stop this push. Paz is going to be alone with this mid lane inhibitor, but as a tank, actually doesn't take down inhibitors that quickly. He needs to wait for the minions to come in. He's shuffling them forwards. Another sleep lands. It's the Mountain Rift. It's Zoe on the enemy side of the map. This is what we talked about right from the start of the, well, from the mid game here. And now this is no longer mid game. This is the late game. The Baron's taken. V3 are sieging it to end. They're trying to get themselves that back-breaking advantage.
Getting pretty damn close. They've got 6,000 gold, as we said. They've got an open inhibitor to go towards. They've got a bot lane wave that is being dealt with fairly swiftly, but they're now shuffling right back towards that mid lane. Paz steps forward, takes a comet to the face, but little else. There is nothing like a Liandry's yet for Seros, which would be what really hurts Paz, and that means this mid lane inhibitor surely not long for the world.
Looks like V3 are being wary of any kind of engagement. There's no flash on Gang. That's important. If he pops the quickness, he can't get that same range on that initiation. Things can still go very, very wrong for V3. Archer has no Phantom Dancer. He has no Death Dance. Nothing of the sort. So he is viable as a target to try and shut down. The Emperor's, that Sand Disc comes up, and the Emperor of the LJL is on the Emperor of Shurima. He's trying to buy his inhibitor some space to breathe, but I think it's going down.
Ebby gets hit with a sleepy bubble at the end of that as well. He's taken over half HP, and the inhibitor does fall as Baron buff is just about to wear off.
Okay, right, a minute until the Dragon. They have the Baron power play, the dregs of that Baron buff for V3. They will get to reset in time to spend their gold before this Dragon. There will be no such artificial advantage for DFM with the gold sitting in V3's pockets. Boogie is going to take some jungle camps on his way out and try and prepare himself for what could be the series-defining fight.
V3 Esports have been so good over this split. They've struggled. They've fought in this series. They went down 2-1. They're here in the final hour up with a massive advantage. It's not done yet. DFM aren't done yet. There is, though, a QSS now onto this Aphelios, who is looking to stay himself alive. Ebby's off vision as well, but Mountain Dragon's up in
items
5
on
seconds.
Utapon, a death cap on Saros. This is not a one team fight. Paz has to play his part, as do the rest of V3, whereas DFM will want to take apart this composition at the seams.
Paz is still going to be fairly tanky. It's not like, as we said, there's no Leandries yet, and Paz can definitely chunk people out. Ebby gets lane priority, but remember, they are down a lot in this mid lane of DFM. They've lost all 3 times, but actually they engage onto Paz. I'm not sure about that. On the backside, though, Sleep is going to be cleansed away from Utapon, and they can't really get onto Steel. That's a lot of damage. The Solar Flare comes out. Utapon gets chunked up, gets chunked down. He's still dead. Gang goes down as well. V3 Esports kills Saros.
The TP to win!
And the TP is coming in. Steel trying to buy time, but Archer with Infernum, with Severum, levels the wave in seconds. And V3 Esports, you wondered, you hoped, you feared that they might lose it, they might win it. Who the hell knows? But they're now going to move on. It's DFM with only a Shen and a Nidalee standing between them and defeat. Ace gets chunked out, but he stays alive. Zenith Blade comes out, and Ebby versus the world. It's fitting, isn't it, that DFM now fall. V3 Esports Summer Split will not end in disappointment. It will not end in defeat. It will not be a 5th consecutive championship for Detonation FocusMe, because it is V3 Esports that are heading to Worlds.
Oh, tears of joy, elation, and all the emotions under the sun on display here from V3. Gonna bring back Mass Swan as we always do. No time for a break. We want to see this jubilation. That's it. Finals, they're done. They're dusted. It went the full distance, and we have a new champion, Lexi.
We do indeed, Nymera. Initialize. What a phenomenal series. We had Silver Scrapes, and you can see just by Gang's face there how much it meant to him. All the members, Archer was crying, they're all emotional. I'm almost emotional watching these guys. We've been covering these lads since spring of February when we covered our first game live here, and it's been an incredible year. Congratulations, V3 Esports. You guys deserve it. You fought your hardest throughout this whole series. You fought your hardest throughout all of summer. There were doubters. There weren't always the best chance, but you did it. Well done.
Let's put this in context. V3 Esports, there could have been no other way to determine you deserved to go to Worlds. You take down Detonation FocusMe. They are the icon of the LJL. They fought from round 1 to here. They took down Sengoku, the team that was built, engineered to take on the LJL. They cleaned it out, and they get a 5-game series. It is a saga. It is an epic. It is the Odyssey. And in the end, Troy falls, DFM are done, and V3 Esports will be our new representatives of Worlds. I could not be more excited.
And compare this to spring. V3, they come in third place. They've done really well at the end of the split, but they still have to play against DFM. They end up going up against them in that lower bracket match, and they're shoved out. They contested, yeah, but they were worthy. It was a worthy defeat. But we said this. They have Archer on their roster. This rookie player, this guy, he's had his anime moment. He's had that moment of defeat. He's had his redemption moment now, and he did it in such spectacular fashion. Game 5, all the hope is put in him. All the trust is put in him, and I cannot tell you how terrifying that must be. This guy looked out of sorts in their matches in those spring playoffs. We thought, hey, Archer, he was really good in the regular split, but man, he's really not performing well. There is no question here. He deserves to go to Worlds, and he did it in such fashion that I cannot be anything but absolutely pleased for this guy.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have to think about it, Archer, this is his rookie year. People were questioning because V3 Esports let go of River, the all-star jungler that's now over in the PCS, and everyone was like... Yeah, exactly. And everyone was like, is this actually the correct move? Yes, it was. Boogie has just basically planted himself as maybe one of the best junglers in the world, and he's currently playing in the LJL, and he, as a member of V3 Esports, got them to the world's play-in stage. honestly, congratulations. This is a team that only came together in spring of this year, and they're already there at the very top. They beat the Kings, and as you have both put so many times, that's how you have to do it. It was almost destiny, wasn't it?
Well, the king is dead. All hail the king, right? You quote yourself some Shakespeare. There's some King Lear out there that's definitely appropriate right now. But you've also got to kind of just take in some things here that actually it wasn't individual skill that got V3 the win in this finals. They have run over this split partly because they've just been better on a mechanical level. The likes of Boogie has been so good. And DFM were matching them for large swathes of this series. It was the macro plays in a lot of ways. It was the lane swapping game 5 that was half matched that still got Archer enough of an advantage that got them through.
Imagine you had such a tense game 4 after 2 quite demoralizing defeats in game 2 and 3. Imagine having the balls to lane swap in game 5 of the finals, which will define this year for you to go to Worlds. That's what we saw. We have the drama. We have the magic. Got a new champion.
And what's amazing is none of these team members have ever been to Worlds before.
Nope.
Paz and Boogie have both played at International. They both played at their mid-season invitational, respectively. Paz way back a few years ago when teams and the LJL landscape was very different. We actually did best of 3s back then when he qualified. And Boogie over in the it's the defunct now region that has now become the LMS. Thank you. Part of Flash Wolves. That's when he made it. This roster has made Worlds. Ace has played professionally since Season 5 and now has made it to Worlds. Paz has played since Season 6. These are players who have played for a long time, never made it to Worlds. DetonatioN FocusMe had almost the door upon everyone, the door that Braum holds, and they found a way through.
Yeah, I do want to take some time now because it's only right to talk about DFM. That's right, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crushing. It's crushing. You know, this is their worst split ever. It was in the regular season, and we had that vision of greatness. We had that vision of, oh my word, they're going through the whole bracket, and they're going to win finals, and they're going to go to Worlds. Didn't happen. And for players like Ebby, who has been just the winner of the LJL, this guy just wins.
Yeah.
To fall in this fashion and actually.
2-1 up.
And be 2-1
they
up
had it.
And also have Utapond, probably the most consistent performing player of this whole split, maybe outside of Boogie, actually.
Yeah.
Boogie,
maybe.
Out of that guy.
Yeah.
Gang,
Or
his
Archer.
Leona being maybe the strongest individual player on a champion that I've seen in this split
Very
too.
long
Like, there's
while.
so many notable occurrences and players during this series alone to be overcome by V3. They should not hold their heads low. They hold them high, though, because what a story they have and what a story they will continue to have. The LJL is not the LJL without DFM, and it wouldn't have been this finals without them either. So, DFM, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But today does go to V3.
Exactly that. And I think it's, right to call out that they ran the Cinderella story.
They did.
Round 1, all the way to the finals. They were looking for redemption after the worst split they've ever had. And they were looking very dangerous in this finals even.
It was.
It wasn't quite enough. The clock strikes midnight. The pumpkin's back. And it will be V3 Esports that are representing us. And they've gone through a trial by fire. And I think that's a good sign for V3 that they can match up when the pressure's really on them.
Yeah, DetonatioN FocusMe had a destructive year so far. The first half, that spring split, they were undisputedly the best team. They ran through everyone, except for in that gauntlet match where Sengoku definitely gave them a taste of defeat. DetonatioN FocusMe didn't like that defeat, that taste of defeat, and decided to win it out promptly from them beating V3, as we've already covered, and then beating Sengoku, sadly not being able to represent the LJL at MSI, as it wasn't happening. But what a time for V3 Esports to pull it out the bag, to get it, to deny DFM. I'm just overwhelmed, honestly, for both the teams. I'm so sad for DFM for not being able to continuously keep running it back and proving that when it comes to it, they can still do it. But V3 Esports and those members proved they were the best at this moment.
Yeah. And obviously for us too, this is our first year as casters and our first year as a broadcasters, fan broadcaster for the LJL. we were, umming and ahhing about which region we wanted to cover. We had thoughts. We wanted to know how we went about this. We have been so blessed by the LJL.
Such good
stuff.
I actually can't imagine going to do I can't imagine having done another region this year. Of course, we work with the VCS guys. We really love love those guys. That's their territory though, and this is now ours. And what the hell is this region, man? We have so much drama. Whether it's CJ coin flipping their destiny, whether it's Axes going from 0
to almost playoffs
to playoffs, and then going from almost 0-8 to 1 win off playoffs.
God.
The Hawks' revitalization in the summer split, DFM and their just overlord tendencies in spring, and then they're almost back to everything. Thing. And we've had so many teams which you guys won't have seen because they didn't make it into playoffs. They didn't make it into the final few. But this region is so stacked full of passion, of storylines, and I'm so here for it.
We've got our final play-ins team for World. It's been decided. We took a little while. We tend to in the LJL. But, there's a few players here who are going to be very hungry to prove the LJL is nothing to write off. And I know Boogie is going to be looking at Talon, who've got River, who was V3's old jungler, and saying, you kept the wrong jungler. The LJL PCS swap. I'm so looking forward to that matchup in groups, if nothing else.
If that could be the matchup we get, that would be just so hype in so many different facets. And honestly, this has been our first year of covering this, as Nymera said. We've run a podcast along with all of this. By the way, go check out our podcast, LJL Officially Unofficial Podcast. We do it every Thursday is when it comes out. We ask questions over on our Discord, so you should also be joining our Discord server. Link down below. It's at the end of the cast. I'm more than happy to plug ourselves to the absolute high end now. You can find at Initialize, at Nymera, at Master1. Underneath is each of our individual Twitter handles, as well as the LJL Unofficial. Yes, I'm a sellout, but I don't mind because if we had a sub button, I'd be doing that Twitch Prime check as well. But honestly, gentlemen, a year has been done, though we've still got Worlds now to cover. So do not go anywhere, people. We'll be bringing you Worlds coverage to some point. We'll be doing podcasts. We'll be doing things over on our YouTube as well. All of these videos and VODs do go over on our YouTube channel. Gentlemen, after a year of covering the LJL, both spring and summer splits, playoffs and all, how do you feel?
Tired.
I'd love to offer another statement, but
I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm pretty sweaty right now. No, I'm feeling great. It feels very satisfying for the year to end out like this. This is almost the perfect ending, actually. The perfect ending would be CGA winning in 3-0 and then winning the World Chip. No.
Your love of Aria knows no bounds.
No, I think that this is the finals that, we felt like we were denied a couple of good series in the last couple. It felt like some people didn't turn up to play. It all came back in force today. So for everyone that did tune in and came to watch us do our own buffoonery, thank you very much. Thank you for joining this journey with us because it has been special.
Initialize, any thoughts? Closing thoughts.
I am very ready to see how V3 perform at Worlds. I think they should be a force to be reckoned with. Do I think they'll have an easy run of it? No. But I think some teams are going to be unpleasantly surprised by how versatile and by how dangerous this team can be in a number of different playstyles.
And with that all said, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the broadcast. We want to thank you so much for watching. It's been a phenomenal series. We wouldn't have it any other way. From myself, Master1, Initialize, Nymera, any and all of our guest casters that we've had throughout all of the many weeks from Super Weeks and all our lovely community over on our Discord server, and you, the person watching right now, thank you. But with that said, that's us at the end. We'll see you all very soon, and remember, don't forget to check out our podcast. We do it. Go do it. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.